Welcome.
Okay. I pull up at the house in my Prius at 10 a.m., the designated pickup time for Mindy's birthday slash slumber party. My kid, who's about 10 at this time, is leaning against the railing of the front porch, arms piled high with pillow, sleeping bag, overnight case, two glass bowls filled with water and what look like. What are those? I ask as my kid brings all their stuff into the car. Party favors, duh. They're alive. Yes, Mom, they're goldfish. We have two cats, so they'll live in my room. I don't think so. Mom, they're family now. The orange one is Mimi and the orange and white is Lucy. Family. Last time I checked, not too many members of our family had gills. I look at the poor little buggers. I feel sorry for them. They didn't ask to be goodie bag stand-ins. It's not their fault. I say, okay, I guess they could live in the bathroom. We place those bowls on the floor of my Prius, wedging them between my purse made out of recycled plastic bags and my motley assortment of cloth totes, and we set off. From the back seat, my kid says, "We're gonna need a tank." Oh, no. I had goldfish as a kid. You just need a little bit bigger bowl and some food flakes. I better look up goldfish care online. Oh, you do that. Back home, I recoil in horror as the ghastly fish facts flash before us on the computer screen. Failure to supply at least a 10-gallon tank will lead to suffocation from lack of oxygen and death. Failure to let the tap water for the tank sit out for 24 hours to let the chlorine dissipate will lead to chlorine poisoning and death. Failure to supply a filter and to replace half the tank water weekly will lead to toxic waste buildup and death. Failure to maintain a temperature between 60 and 80 degrees will lead to severe metabolic stress and death. Failure to place a screen over the top of the tank will inevitably lead to goldfish jumping out to their deaths. Properly cared for goldfish grow to a foot in length and live for up to 12 years. Oh my God. I was a murderer. In my feckless youth, I blithely killed off any number of finned friends. And so now, to spare Mimi and Lucy the gruesome end those hapless victims suffered, and to redeem myself for past crimes against poikilotherms, I was going to have to set up an aquarium replete with every amenity I could afford. I said to my kid, but can a glass box filled with water ever substitute for life in the wild? If we really cared about Mimi and Lucy, we would set them free. Mom, it says right here on the website, goldfish released in the United States harm native fish populations. The ancestral home of the goldfish, Mom, is mainland China. China? With the most polluted water on earth? Well, we can't take them there. You know what? I think that we should just return them to the pet shop and they would have a big tank and professional care. Mom, they were feeder fish. What? Mimi and Lucy would be eaten alive. I flash back that horrible moment in The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. The time traveler has journeyed into the future to the year 802,000, and he has encountered humans living lives of absolute leisure. He wonders who supplies their food and clothing and why none of them are old. He climbs down a shaft into an underground tunnel where he discovers a race of ape-like creatures. As the menacing, salivating beasts surround him, the sickening truth is revealed. The apes underground take care of the humans above because they are raising them for food. Mimi and Lucy wriggle in fear. Don't worry, girls, not on my watch. Leaving our faint-hearted pets trembling in their bowls at the house, my kid and I drive to Petco to purchase a tank, gravel, plastic plants, filter, food, screen, cratered bluish rocks that just might have come from some exotic Asian riverbed. We burst into the house, lugging our booty, and we race to fill every dishpan, every bucket with tap water so the chlorine can dissipate. In the morning, my kid reverently covers the bottom of the tank with tiny white stones. arranges the artificial greenery. I pour in the now chlorine-free tap water and introduce Mimi and Lucy to their new home. Like traumatized foster kids uncertain whom to trust, they flutter pitifully to the far corner of the tank and refuse to so much as look at us. Are they sick, Mom? Give them time, honey. Give them time. 10 years pass. Mimi and Lucy are each over 6 inches long. They sleep with their eyes wide open, together as always, hidden behind their favorite rock in their 30-gallon tank. I feed them salmon flakes, bloodworms, canned peas, steamed zucchini. I have observed Mimi and Lucy going over every inch of their glass prison walls, searching for a way out. And I imagine them swimming in crystal clear waters on the other side of the world long before humans walked the earth. In my daydream, they are each 12 inches long, 2 hardy specimens in a school over 100 strong. Deftly, the agile pair navigate aquamarine rocks lining the bank of a lazy tributary, while all around them, the golden scales of others of their kind flash in the afternoon sun.
That was beautiful. and so I don't know what's the word. It felt like a roller coaster of emotions. Oh my goodness. I had no idea those very sad facts of goldfish, and I'm very proud of you because I imagine that this is a true story, that you were able to maintain the life of these kept goldfish for
They lived for a dozen years.
amazing.
One of them went blind and one of her eyes fell out. But I know that's weird, but I took care of them until their demise.
That's amazing.
My kid had very little interest, but I became obsessed.
I'm really impressed. I'm also I'm horrified to learn that Pandora, my goldfish, that I honestly don't even remember how I acquired Pandora. I feel like it was like one of these kinds of things. She did not last very long.
I know, we had no idea. It's really, the main thing is the chlorine.
Oh.
It's just like if you put tap water, they're goners. There's also drops, which I later learned actually there's drops you can put in. You don't have to let the water sit out. But what I think is kind of sad is that had I known that as a kid, I certainly would have put in the drops or done whatever you had to. No one told us, right? And they would just expire in days. It's really sad.
And then a small little bowl and like.
Hmm. Yeah, because the bowl, you know what? The amount of oxygen they get has to do with the amount of surface water, the surface. So if it's a little bowl with a tiny bit of surface, that's why it's a tiny bit of oxygen. But if it's a rectangular thing, there's more oxygen. Who knew, right? Who knew?
Well, thank you. That was brilliant. What a great story. As always. Thank you. All right. I see Chris present. Will, I don't know if you are, I was thinking maybe our storytellers would bookend our session this evening, but
I think that's a good idea. I think music and then another, and then I can do mine after the music.
Yeah, I can play. Is that what we're saying?
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I know how we like to bookend things. We'll put it in orders. We like our patterns. Ugh. Cool, and you guys can hear me? That comes through okay? The sound. I'm still trying to find whatever my Zoom fixes for my music. And maybe I did. Let me do something real fast. If I settings. Maybe I can only do it. It's so funny of just like when I was trying to do it on my computer, they even have like a
Is it
music for it.
like the
for the
original
live one.
sound?
Well, they've got an original sound and they actually have a new beta one for like live performances. And I feel like I selected it on my one computer, but maybe not on my phone. But I don't know how any of this. I mean, I just feel like these microphones are just so tiny anyway for
It's
trying to get
True.
the whole sound.
Yeah. And I feel like right now vocally, like your voice is really clear, just even speaking. But when like the guitar, it just ends up sounding a little bit like it's like in a can or something.
But if it's like, what if I just turn it away? Does that work?
Try it again.
Can you guys see the guitar? No. And then you can hear it again. Okay.
Okay, it's not horrible.
Let's just.
Go for it.
It's like honestly though, it's like the doctors where it's like, is it this or is it this? Is it this? Is that better? Is that? We'll see. And then I'm gonna start singing while I'm playing. It's gonna turn into something else altogether. So, cool. So I was gonna play 2 songs, and this first one, it was like I wrote a song, and then I've been putting stuff on social media now, and like going and playing and like doing stuff. So I've been writing just little snippets, like 30-40 second things, just like post and work on the songwriting muscles. And so I wrote this snippet and it did pretty well. And then I was like, wait a sec, I feel like that works as an intro for this other song that I like just wrote the song as it was a full thing. So I'm just smashing it together a little bit for this first one. During the pandemic, Benjamin Gibbard from Death Cab for Cutie, who, I named my first child after Benjamin Gibbard, but he was doing all of these performances and doing these live shows, and he was throwing back like olive oil for like all of the singing that he was doing. And I was like, that is next level craftsmanship there but yeah, it was just a funny little image. But that was just water. That was just good old fashioned water. Anyway, I'm gonna start playing. So I just wanna feel alive, like I did when you were by my side, like I had done something right for once in my life. Electric, but so calm, you moved me and you moved on. That's why I'm withdrawn every other day. And who moves me now? And what happens next? Can I keep you there? 'Cause I'll never forget. I got something in my mind that seems to have a hold of me. When I think it's gone, it reappears, no time to flee. So I'm taking all the steps to put some face from it to me. If I say your name again, I'm by myself, just talking out what's in my head, and it all comes tumbling in. I spin it up, I spiral out, begin again. Cause when I look at you, it's like my brain just skips a beat. When I see you smile, it's like the ocean through the trees. And if I ever felt alive, it's when you look right back at me. If I say your name again, I'm by myself, just talking out what's in my head, and it all comes tumbling in. I spin it up, I spiral out, begin again. And oh, I really should move on. Let dreams be dead and gone. I can't seem to let that happen, 'cause I keep you in my mind. Dwell on all the times when I had you really laughing. It felt like magic, and I say your name again. I'm by myself, just talking out what's in my head, and it all comes tumbling in. I spin it up, I spiral out, begin again.
Woo!
Thank you. It's so funny, like doing this live and then doing this virtually. It's been a minute.
I know. You don't get that feedback right away.
But I will say it's very common because it's also, you know, open mics, people don't know the song, so they're always like, is this this is, there we go. Yeah.
Are you gonna do two back to back then? Do you want to do that?
Yeah, because that was one song where I combined them together, and then I got yeah, I can. Or were you saying that you want to do like I can do whatever. I got song on song, so
I'm cool if you want to do another one right now.
cool. This is like the major, like 99% of my life I've played guitar and just like standard E tuning, maybe like a little drop D where you like change the tuning on one string. Coldplay had a song where I changed the tuning on one string. This is now like open D, like C, G major, whatever tuning, and so it's just so different. And so I'm just so used to like fooling around and just like making regular chords, and it sounds awful. It does not, like, I'm like, oh, this is a C. No, it's not. So but it was funny because I'm gonna play my next song. I'm gonna do "Not Strong Enough" by Boy Genius, and I wanted to learn how to play the song. And then I was like, well, I'd like to play this live, but since it was in this different tuning that I was just talking about, it's in this opening. So then I was like, well, I want to play this live. I don't want to change all my tuning stuff. And so then I just like wrote like 5 songs on this. I was like, this is just gonna solve this problem. To where I've got, you know, plenty to work through for this. And then someday I'll just bring another guitar on stage and I'll just have more repertoire available.
That's so smart. I love it.
That's one of the things I like about writing or like songwriting of any level. Is just like it's always at your own level. Like it cannot be like it's just always what you know. And so there's just always something to that. It's like the level that you play out of like you, it's just I really like that aspect of skill. Like you can't ever not be at this other end of it. It's just where you are. So anyway, this is Not Strong Enough by Boy Genius. All open in kitchen. Oh, I'm gonna check my tuning on this real fast because I feel like something was flat there, and I do not want to go through a whole song like that because that would be pretty rough for everybody. If you did want to find my music online on social medias, it's under Planets Alive. Planets Alive.
Planets alive. Is it
Planets Alive? Yep.
like multiple planets
Yeah, PLANETS, Planets Alive.
alive?
And that's not a C chord. I'm so used to that. All right. I feel better about that. There we go. Thank you. I'm cold in the kitchen. Clock's different time. Would it only take the energy? I don't know why I am the way I am. Not strong enough to be your man. I tried, I can't. Stop staring at the ceiling fan and spinning out about things that haven't happened. Breathing in and out. Like racing through the canyon. Singing, boys, don't cry. You see us getting raised up off the hills. I don't know why I am the way I am. Not strong enough to be your man. I lied, I am just lowering your expectations. Half of mine that gives the other second guessing. Close my eyes and count. I don't know why I am the way I am. Something in the static. I think I've been having revelations coming to in the front seat. Nearly empty, skip the exit to our old street. Go home. Go home.
Woo, 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 woo.
Thank you.
Again, yes, your voice comes through nice and clearly, and the guitar just doesn't quite do it.
Someday I'm gonna figure it out, and it's just gonna be amazing. You know, you're gonna be like, "Wait, this is what it sounded like."
Thrilled, we'll be thrilled. I believe it. We've had a couple of other folks. I wish that they were here because we could ask them. Like,
Part of it's just my apartment. Like, it's just a lot of hard walls. So I've even started to put up like foam, like sound paneling on these walls all over to help with that. But it just bounces, and then it's all trying to cram into this little phone microphone. And I've got some audio interfaces, but I don't know if it's just like this space is so bad for it. So I'll figure it out.
I believe you. I believe you will. Don't stop. Don't stop. And
Thank
keep
you.
coming back too. I know we don't get to see you again until April unless something changes.
Once something happens, you never know. But yeah.
Well, I just followed you on Instagram. So if there are there other social media places?
So far, it's Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
Okay.
TikTok's where I'm pushing the most stuff, which I've like been avoiding TikTok for forever because I just have terrible ADHD and my brain can't handle that, you know? And
a lot.
it is, but so what I found though is like, and I really like, I just started posting things like within these past couple of days. Like, it's so new for me, but it is such a dopamine rush when you post those things of like, because there's billions of users across the globe, whatever. So you just get, you know, any base level of views, like that's still just more than what's being pushed through any other social media site. And I don't watch other people's stuff, so it's just so I don't, you know, melt my brain just to be able to post and do all that. So TikTok's where I put the majority of the stuff, but it's also YouTube and Instagram, and I'll figure out some other things later and actual recordings later, other stuff, right? All in time.
Good. Well, thanks for sharing tonight. All right, Chris.
All right. We don't have we're not having one of these next month, right? The next one is January after tonight.
That is true. Yes,
Okay.
we take a break in December.
Okay.
In Portland, we'll be having a caroling event at the Fix and Two, which is a bar in St. John's. But if you're not in Portland, we might be streaming it. We have streamed it in the past. So anyway, that happens to fall on the third December, the third Saturday of the month, which is why we're like, all right, let's take a pause on open mic for. So yes, that was a long story. We'll be back in January.
Okay. The reason I was asking is because I'm going to read my little Christmas memory tonight because I won't be able to do it in December. So
Nice.
it's not even Thanksgiving, but I'm going to read this one.
That's okay. It's all out there in the world. So
okay. This one is called Sugar Plums. I'll never forget one magical Christmas Eve when I was a child of no more than 5 or 6. My sisters and I were up late, as was our custom on that enchanted occasion, drinking hot cocoa and eating freshly baked gingerbread cookies while our parents finished up with the festive decorations in the living room. The stovetop was warm, with steam rising from the pan of fresh sugar plums that my mother was poaching for the season. I happened to wander over to the kitchen window with my steaming mug and a cookie still warm from the oven, and I began hopefully scanning the night sky when suddenly I was certain I saw what every child wishes to see: Santa Claus and his tiny sleigh cutting through the night sky with a trail of stardust close behind. "It's Santa Claus," I shouted excitedly. "I see him. Come and look." My sisters flew to the window and I excitedly pointed out the tiny objects hurtling towards us through the starry sky. "Over the rooftops, do you see it?" I cried. "Yes, yes," they answered in unison. "We see it." We watched, enraptured, as the object grew nearer and larger. As it approached at lightning speed, however, it suddenly became clear that the shimmering saucer approaching was not Santa Claus. It was some sort of alien spacecraft, and it was in trouble. As the silver UFO, ablaze in a flame of blue fire, crash landed into our yard with a deafening explosion, my sisters ran, screaming from the window, to the safety of my parents' arms. Being more emboldened with the spirit of the season than my sisters, I remained at the window, frozen, watching in horror as the tiny aliens, burned and smoking like roasted Christmas pigs, crawled helplessly from their craft and lay still on the white landscape of the yard. "You're not Santa Claus," I screamed through the window, angry tears streaking my cheeks and dropping one by one into my mug of cocoa. You're not, you're nothing but a bunch of phonies." I turned from the mayhem, dejected and downcast, and I barely had the heart to finish my now room temperature treat. I soon headed off to bed. As I drifted to sleep that night, my only consolation was to tell myself that the smell of burning carcasses outside in the snow was nothing more than the smell of steaming sugar plums. "It's just sugar plums," I murmured sleepily to myself. "Nothing more than sugar plums."
oh my gosh. Please tell me that's not true.
100% true story. Aliens crash landed on Christmas Eve, and it's just, I don't even know if sugar plums are, I can't remember if I looked that up or if I just made it up. Is sugar plums something people can make? I don't even know if that's an actual, isn't that a line from the
Yeah, the vision
That's a line for
Visions
sure.
of Sugar Plums? But I don't know if it's a real thing.
dance in their head. Yes,
Yeah,
I've never
I don't
had
know what sugar plums are, but I was like, I gotta think of some smell thing, something that's good that I don't know what it smells like. So I just went with sugar plums, and it sounds so sweet and quaint. You know, it's just such a like evocative little like so seasonal sugar plums. You know. Anyway,
No, it was a lovely little sweet story, and then it just turned.
turned very abruptly. That was the first thing I ever read at an open mic, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I remember I was so nervous to read this. I'd never done an open mic, and I was up there, and my paper was like, I had it on paper, and I was shaking, and my voice was quivering. You know, I was like very, very nervous. So, and it starts off so sweet, and everybody was like really like, I could see them like kind of leaning in and like encouraging, and all of a sudden the saucer crash lands, and everyone's kind of like, wait, what's happening here? So think it was like a total Andy Kaufman moment because not, I wanted it to be funny, but it was more theatrical than I meant it to be because I was so nervous of reading in public at the time. But
That's great.
That's one of the things I love about open mic nights, though, is that you never know what people are going to come up with or what the talent is or how it shifts. Like that's where I do a cover of Seven Nation Army because it starts off very like plinky guitar, like do like very, and I don't know if I've played it here before, but it like builds throughout, so it just starts. So if it's the first time I'm playing somewhere, I do like to play that song first because they don't know me, they don't know like what I sound like, what I can play like, and all they're hearing is me just doing basic notes, and I just think that's so funny. And then it evolves into the full song, and it's like just chords and everything, but it's that idea of like you just never know what people are like, how things shift or so I think that's so great. You can just see that image of like, the first time jitters like we've all felt of like doing stuff and like everyone being like so supportive and just that shift in moment of like what just happened. So good.
Oh my gosh.
Vicky and Chris, are you guys published anywhere? Like, do you have things that we can read, like blogs or anything out there?
I had a couple things published on a couple of my Calculator Kids stories published on a website called Across the Margin, I think is what it was called. I think I have 2 stories on there. And then I self-published a book of Calculator Kids stories and a couple other totally different books on lulu.com. If you go to lulu.com, you can and put my name in, you'll see a few things by me.
Nice. I just like both of these stories, like, and just in general, anytime I've heard you both, I just enjoyed it so much, and so I'm wondering where else I might be able to get more of it.
Yeah, you can find me a lot of YouTube. A lot of the shows I've done are on YouTube, but I'm pretty much 100% oral. I mean, I do write them down and I learn them, but
You bring an energy to it. It's definitely a part of it. I can see it. Like I was like, I've never heard a more action-packed goldfish story before.
I know. I do think for me personally, I don't know that the things I write, I mean, I guess they're okay on the page, but they're different. You know what I mean? If you don't hear me doing it, it's not the same thing. So I've never been really that drawn to trying to publish something.
Would you do like I mean, you're on YouTube, but like, would you ever record it for like an audio book kind of a thing, or like podcast kind of, or is that that doesn't quite work?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I guess I think more, I think a little bit more about it now, these years that we've been on Zoom, because say I've had the chance once in a while to do a long show, like an hour. And, back in the day before COVID, most of the time I wasn't really recorded, maybe some YouTube stuff, but so I don't know. Yeah, maybe if it was out loud. I just think my stuff it's meant to be done out loud.
I feel like Zoom, even we were talking about the live music beta feature, whatever when I was looking at all that stuff, they were also talking about Zoom clips where now it sounds like you can take snippets from these things. So it could be like you could post the whole video as it is for the recording, then you could be like, here's the individual things from within it, and finally like pull those out, because I don't think that was available before, unless you just like continuously like downloaded and trimmed those other videos in a weird way. So
yeah, I could, because I download it to the computer versus putting it on the cloud, and so I could edit it if I wanted to, but I don't want to.
No, I was saying it was just
I like the idea
with the Zoom clips or like performing
yeah.
of like if you're doing these longer and as
Yeah.
a slip. But just again, I just really enjoy your guys' stuff. So
I agree. I'm glad. I like having a mix of different kinds of art forms, and I get to hear them all. So, well, do anybody else feel compelled, inspired, driven to share any more this evening?
I have one other really short one I could do. It's just like, it's not it's not it's not going to turn. It won't be. I gotta find. I just had it here, and then hang on one second. I know it's right here in this document.
It's not going to turn what?
It's not going to go from. It's not going to turn halfway through.
Oh.
It's just, yeah. I put it. Hang on a moment. If there it is. Okay, it's probably like 3 minutes. This one is just something I wrote. I don't know. It's just called Sun's Horizon. It's just like a little descriptive something. It seems like a chapter out of something else, but it just stands alone. So anyway, it's called Sun's Horizon, Dark Island. He broke through the tree line, stumbling over a fallen limb that obscured the path, the cuffs of his canvas pants heavy and dark with the dew from the ferns and foliage behind him. The sun was rising, east and easy. He caught his balance and leaned an arm straight out on the trunk of a tall oak, kicking at the base of the tree and knocking away the heavy black mud that clung to the sides of his boots in uneven clumps. Fragments of tree bark followed the mud, arcing through the slants of light back into the woods. He could feel his body temperature climbing already. The sunlight grabbed onto the front of his clothes as he faced the day, clung to him with tight-gripped hands, pulled at the dew in his trouser cuffs, already drying them off. He squinted into the bright northeast, letting the light warm his face. He turned his face upward to the expanse above. The scattered clouds were the color of new snow in an ocean of pale blue, trailing toward the west and south. And as he lowered his head, he saw that they shone purple and black, nearest to the daybreak, like fresh bruises on the horizon. He looked down at his hands, turning them back and forth, looking at the knuckles and nails and then at the palms. His hands were blackened, sore and swollen, the mud and debris beginning to dry and crack, and he dropped his arms loosely to his sides. He took a step further into the clearing, and the sunlight tightened its grip, wrapping around him completely and pulling him away from the trees. He turned and saw he was already 30 yards from the woods and felt the sunlight burning the back of his neck. He faced the trees and considered going back to double check, to make sure, to be absolutely certain. As he pondered, he became aware of the life around him, the gnats and the flies, the bees working their flower gardens in the clearing where he stood, the birds far overhead, too far to cast a shadow below. A moth fluttered past haphazardly, flitting up and down in its broken cadence, the man pausing his thoughts and noting that moths always looked as though they were struggling to stay aloft. And then it veered off east and away, and the man turned and followed, deadheading the dandelions with the side of his foot as he went, making sure to avoid the purple thistles hidden in the undergrowth. And the sun was now rising high up in the sky, and the clouds were all white again, and the sky was blue, and the man set his face like stone and walked east, easy.
I love all the descriptors in that.
Thank you.
Yeah, especially the just that the last bit about the deadheading the dandelions. Yeah.
Thank you.
I saw that Vicky had a comment too. Oh, she made another comment. I like to read it too. Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing, but I don't think he was up to any good.
Vicky knows.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, especially when you know, the or like Blue Velvet or something. Remember in Blue Velvet, it starts out with a close up on the grass and all the ants and stuff. That's what was making me think of when you were zooming in on the insect life and stuff.
Interesting. Yeah.
I haven't watched Blue Velvet in a long time, and I wasn't planning on watching it again, but I don't. It was a little much.
I really just like the beginning.
That's so interesting. Maybe I should just watch the beginning. Yeah. It's a little disturbing. A lot disturbing, but yeah. Good. Cool. Well, thanks for sharing that. Moody. It was a little more moody of a piece. I like it. It fits the scene of where I am right now. It's quite dark and dreary right now. It's good. It's a good late fall, or are we mid fall? I guess we're in mid fall. Late fall. I'm gonna go with late fall. I get lost in the seasons. Where am I?
It for sure felt like fall today out here in Illinois, at least. Like I stepped outside and I was like, what's happening? But they said it's supposed to be like a warmer winter,
Oh,
as it's just like a warmer everything. So, you know,
interesting.
yeah, it's supposed to be like it's called, I don't know, it's like an El Nino winter or something. Like, I guess that's the phrase for it. I'm just learning about it.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's been pretty mild here. I mean, not too bad. Some nice sunny days. Couple of downpours, which is always not typical of Oregon or the Pacific Northwest, I guess. So that's strange when it just dumps. But anyway, weather. We always go back to the weather. I'm always fascinated. Oh, what's happening in your part of the country? I know there's so many more interesting things to talk about. Well, shall we call it for the evening? I see you're still playing over there, Will. Does that mean you want to?
Yeah, I was just tooling around. If we've got a few minutes, I could just, I've got like, again, like I've got all these like little snippets of songs. So if you want just some small things, I could do it.
Sure, we're here. We're here.
Um, so I don't know how to preface this. Just, I grew up in a very small town in Missouri, like as any of the majority of the people on this call would know, because they're all my family. But we just experienced a lot of loss in the community, just consistently, from like just kids and accidents, like just freak stuff that just, it was just random. It was just consistent. It was just a lot. And so it's a lot, I think, for any kid, but still processing. I just like wrote this the other day. And so that's where this stems from, for some backstory on that. And I'll see if I can remember that. Part of the problem with writing all these little snippets is like I like them so much and they're so fast, but then I just move on to the next one and I'm like, whoa, where's any of it for the words and chords? So I think back on the day when they broke the news over and over again. Why did it have to be you? That's just the way things are. One by one, we learn. All that's left are the scars in our hearts and the stars in our love. Just little snippets.
Like
Yeah.
those little rhymes, those little middle rhymes in there. The stars and the scars and the hearts.
Yeah, I love that stuff. Just it's just this is one of those things like, you know, I got my degree in theater, like I got just being creative and acting, like any of this stuff, it just scratches all of those right parts of my brain to be like all the different ways you can say anything and put sounds together. So as you guys probably know exactly what I'm talking about.
Are you gonna do you want to turn that into a
I don't, I
Or-
could, like any of them, I could. I just like, it really is just like, I just keep moving and I just let it evolve if it does evolve, I guess, or we'll see. It's been a while since I've written as much as I have been writing lately.
Mhm.
And so there's something to that for like relaunching that to be like, what is any of my process and how I want to share this or music I want to make, sort of thing. So it's nice though. It's like, you know, the stuff is such a dopamine rush and you get to make it yourself. So it's,
That's great.
yeah, I'm just glad that I don't know where I'd be without these open mics for doing these during the pandemic after having taken a break for so long. So it's always nice to be back and do these again.
Cool. Well, we're certainly glad to have you. And I'm glad it serves a purpose for people. It certainly does for me. I get to enjoy it. And then those in our wider circle or wider community, if they want to check it out later, if they didn't get to join us tonight, they always get to have that opportunity. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna start sharing it too with people I know who are interested in doing that stuff. So
Cool. Great. Love that. I'm going to stop our recording now. For all of you. Oops, don't end the meeting though, Christina. See ya. No. All of a sudden I don't see where I'm recording. That is weird. Why? Oh, it was hidden. It's hidden. Okay. Goodbye, YouTube viewers.